Welcome, my hair metal revolution community, my family, everybody out there. Today, we're talking about an interesting topic. It's a topic that everybody has opinions on, right? Who truly deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? Now, for some reason, give me a second. Okay, here we go. I heard an echo in the background, but I fixed it. So everybody has bands who they believe that should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And a lot of us, the one thing it's unanimous is for all of us is that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is nothing but a joke. I mean, they're truly a joke. They're like the only Hall of Fame that uses the word rock and roll that rock and roll actually technically hurts you to get in. You know, R&B's got their own, country's got their own, everybody's got their own, but the one Hall of Fame that uses the word rock and roll is not just for rock and roll. I mean, we all agree on that. That's the biggest flat out joke that we've ever seen. And it's a joke. All of us. We all know that it's a joke. Right? And people are like, well, Eminem, those people, they deserve to get in. Okay. You know what? If you want to add an additional nomination for certain bands is not in rock and roll to get in, so be it. So be it. But the problem is when you elect other musicians that are not rock and roll, you're taking away a spot from bands that deserve to get there. Dolly Parton accepted a nomination last year, but in the beginning, she said that I should never been nominated. I mean, Dolly Parton said that. She goes, I'm taking a spot away. And she wrote that letter to the Hall of Fame. They said, well, you got it anyway. So she decided to make a rock and roll album after the fact. And somebody wrote in here, why is Dolly Parton? Again, yeah, she did the most rock and roll thing. Like, why am I being nominated into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Having made a rock album. So I missed everything you said in 2 minutes. It wasn't much, my friend Danny. It wasn't much. Hopefully, I'm not taking away from your doctor's blaming. Because I want us all to live another year or so. Joking. All right. Now, of course, if you look at my thumbnail, I have 4 bands that I put on there because we could talk all day on 20 bands that should get in. And we're going to get into who you guys want to see to get in. And of course, this channel's more wrapped around 80s, but we love 70s and stuff. So when I put this together as my 4, I'm using 80s bands. And these are the 4 that of course, more than these bands should get in. But there's a reason why I'm picking these 4. And I also put a poll out 2 days ago on these 4 bands. Here, let me get that poll up right here. If you want to vote for this poll that I put up 2 days ago, you may. And the thing is, the reason hold on. Okay, there it is. So if you want to vote yourself, I wanted to get a couple of days of a certain amount of votes to see out of the 4 bands that I say should be in. Out of that 4, if you can only pick one this year, if I had Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, say, Eric, you get to put one in. And these are the 4. And if you look at it, after 30,000 votes. So thank you guys, all of you out there in the community who put in votes, 30,000 votes already. I appreciate that. You can see almost by a mile, Iron Maiden has won with 62%, Mötley Crüe 27%, Ratt 7%, Lita Ford 4%. I think I have a cool pull out today. Best lead rhythm guitar duo. And there's so many out there. I know I always get people like, how come this duo's not on there? How come these duo on there? Again, I tell everybody, YouTube only allows you 4 options. That's it. 4 options. So I am never, ever going to make anybody happy to have the people they think should be on a poll. If YouTube would give me up to 10 options, then that'd be fantastic, but they don't. So there's one out today. Every single day, there's a poll out every single day. Anybody wants to vote on it? Vote on these. Come in here and vote. There's different polls every single day. So, all right. So after I said that, so technically, what's even the qualifications? What are the qualifications to be into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Well, I'm glad you guys asked that. I am so glad. Let me find it here. What are the key components? All right. Nomination. A nominating committee of music experts, historians, and artists creates a short list of nominees. Okay, so there's a committee. And of course, everybody in this committee are experts, right? First of all, every one of us are experts. There's a reason why certain albums sell 20 million copies and some albums don't, right? People say, well, the amount of albums you sell should never count. No, you're wrong. It should have an influence because if a certain album sold more people like it. By saying a statement like that, you're saying that, no, mine's more important. Mine's more important. Even though my album only sold 5 copies and your album sold 50 million copies, mine's better. All right. So, an international body over 1,200 voters, including past inductees, historians, and industry members, cast ballots. Fan vote. An annual online fan vote contributes one collective ballot to the process. So basically, a fan vote only counts as one. A fan vote is just a fun little thing they do, but it doesn't. A fan vote would never change or tip the level to a winner or loser because it only counts as one vote. So you got 1,200 voters. So out of 1,200 voters, one of those will count as a fan vote. So if you think you got power because you're putting a vote in it, you don't. Inductee happens across categories like performer, musical excellence, musical influence, and a Met Intergen Award. What are not required? There are no specific genre requirements, and the hall inducts artists from various styles. Oh, here, let me go back up here. Hold on. Key opponent. Here we go. Eligibility window. The artist must have released their first commercial recording 25 years before the year of induction. Music excellence. The involved depth of career, superior style, and technical skill in their craft. Influence and impact. A committee looks for artists who has inspired other musicians and significantly shaped music history rather than just focusing on sales. Okay. Innovating. Creativity in music style and techniques and key factor. Body of work. A substantial, consistent catalog of quality music is considered. So you got to have a nice little catalog. All right. So, Night Ranger is a good one. That's a good one. There's a great arguments to say that Night Ranger should be already in there in the first place. So, you saw it right there. You saw it. Now, I'm going to give you, well, hold on. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about one of the elements is technical skills in their craft. And it seems like hard rock bands, the good ones. I mean, there's bad hard rock bands, but you gotta know how to play your instruments. I mean, when you're in a rock and roll band, Usually you got your lead singer, you got your guitar player, you got your drummer, bass. Some bands have 2 guitar players, whatever. I mean, talking about craft, you can't get more craft than a true rock and roll band. I know there's solo bands, Bryan Adams, I mean, Huey Lewis and the News has a group, the real group. So he's not really. I know they use his name, but he's not really like a solo. Bruce Springsteen has an E Street Band, but then he also has solo albums and all that. But crap, one thing about hard rock, glam rock, heavy metal, hair metal, whatever you want to call it, craft is not an issue. A lot of them can play better than some of these people are getting nominated who don't even write their own songs. You guys know that, right? There's a lot of people. Nothing against country. I'm wearing a cowboy hat, right? Nothing against country. A lot of country artists never write their own songs, right? Never write their own songs. To me, if a band writes their own songs, that should mean something. That's being more creative, right? Now, one of the bands, I know a lot of people look at my list or they see my thumbnail, like Ratt. Fuck yeah, Ratt should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Listen, whatever you think of hair metal, glam rock, whatever you want to call it, Ratt had so many hits. Every album, there's hits. They were never a one-hit wonder. Go to Out of the Cellar, right? Round and Round. Back for More. Lack of communication. I mean, go on and on. Wanted Man. Go to Invasion of Privacy. Lay It Down. You're in Love. What you see is what you get. I love that fucking song, right? You go to Dancing Undercover, right? You got Dance. Slip of the Lip. Body Talk. That was also in the movie The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy. Right? Let's go on to their next album, Reach for the Sky. Way Cool Jr., a funky, cold guitar riffs. I Want a Woman. Bottom Line. Right? My least favorite of the 80s period was Detonator, but Loving You is a dirty job, but I'm the man to do it. Right? Shame, shame, shame. I mean, go on and on and on. They have other albums even after that, but I'm talking about the core albums. Even go to their EP, I Think You're Tough. Tell the World. And we're not even talking about the songs that there was no videos on. In Your Direction. I mean, The Morning After. I mean, there's just such a pile of great songs, right? Great songs. And then, somebody, yeah, but are they talented? I'm going to tell you guys something. Take a simple Ratt song. Take You're in Love. I'm sure you can find it somewhere. I'm sure Danny Staton can find where you can hear You're in Love without Stephen Pierce's voice. Take that voice off and just listen to the guitar, drums, and bass in it. I mean, the fucking sound of Ratt. Now, Stephen Pierce's voice and Ratt is Ratt. But just take away Stephen Pierce's voice, that iconic scratchiness type of voice, and just listen to the instruments. Warren D. Martin, Robin Crosby. Just listen to the background music. Right? In Your Directions is another good one. Just listen to the musicians playing on those albums. I mean, one of the Ratt albums is really very underrated is Dancing Undercover. Listen to Bobby Blotzer on that Dancing Undercover on the drums on that album. Just listen to it. The musicians themselves will blow you away. Stephen Pierce's voice is just the icing on the cake that just, took it off. Listen to that body of work, right? And the reason bring up Ratt, because right before Ratt came out, they were there during the same time as Mötley Crüe, but Mötley Crüe made an album first, right? Mötley Crüe, who's not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Too Fast for Love. They made it for what, $500? Masterpiece. Shout out the Devil. Masterpiece. Theater Pain, a little drop off, but they came back strong with Girls, Girls, Girls. But even though Theater Pain might have had a little drop off, Home Sweet Home was like their biggest song ever, right? You know, and I love Louder Than Hell. I love that song on that album. Dr. Feelgood, right? Hits after hits after hits, and not just the hits. And these both bands were playing arenas and sold millions of copies. Take that all away. They changed the look of the 80s. Ratt had a different kind of fashion. It's like a little bit of an Adam Ant mixed with, I mean, they had their own little fashion, right? And they changed, not just changed Sunset, they took the Sunset Strip, brought that look to the masses. You know, Bon Jovi, who is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you know, they didn't hit it super huge until 87 with Slippery When Wet. I'm sorry, let's be honest there. You know, Bon Jovi was opening up Ratt and Mötley Crüe and stuff. Mötley and Ratt laid the groundwork. And don't get me wrong. Dawkins, Twisted Sister, those bands had their place and should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But I'm only going with 4 bands because we'll be here all day, right? So I'm just listen to Bloody Wood. Bloody Wood. Bloody Wood, okay. Right? So and I saw Ratt and Poison 20 times. Yeah, that was my first concert. You know, I believe Poison should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too. But again, I'm only doing 4 bands. You know, I can always do another part 2 of a show of other 4 bands. But you know, Poison, my opinion, Poison, Cinderella should be in here too. But I just want to go with the 4 here first, and I'm trying to give you an explanation on why I think. You know, again, right? And they, you know, when you ask the Rock and Roll, yeah, there's certain bands that meets that criteria that we have that's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know, we got the Sex Pistols in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right? Sex Pistols. And nothing. I'm not putting down Sex Pistols at all. I'm just using them. Okay. Well, Sex Pistols in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which they didn't go. You know, they didn't give a fuck about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which I have total respect for Johnny Rotten or Johnny London, whatever his name is today. But they only had 1 album. Where's the body of work on that? Where's the body of work? 1 album? Album sold 1.7 million copies. Million of the copies were sold here. America sold more of their albums than their own hometown in the UK. There's a lot of punk bands that didn't even like Sex Pistols back in there because they thought Sex Pistols was a little bit commercial, right? And what I'm getting at, and don't get me wrong, that album is a great fucking album. But what I'm trying to say is, it's like, okay, we got to put somebody in there. Let's put the Sex Pistols in there. But I thought the criteria was the body of work. Does 1 album qualify? You know, but they changed this. Change what? And no offense to them, punk was already huge when the Sex Pistols got in, right? When the Sex Pistols got in. So they didn't really change the look because that look was already there. What I'm trying to get as, I challenge you to look up everything. Mötley Crüe and Ratt change looks, change Sunset Strip to look over wide. And Wasp, you know, Wasp, they're part of it too. They're part of that, but I can only use 4 bands right now, guys. Only 4 bands. So I'll do Wasp on another day. But they changed the world on the look, right? They did. Okay? Now, Iron Maiden. I mean, Iron Maiden has already said they will never go in. Iron Maiden was said, I mean, not to go in. Even if they got nominated in, they will not show up at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I respect that. Look what Iron Maiden has changed, along with Ratt. Ratt, Mötley Crüe changed the looks. Iron Maiden, not just did arenas, they do stadiums till this day. They brought speed metal to the masses. They were more than just a speed metal band. I mean, Bruce Dickinson's voice. I mean, he wasn't even the original singer. He wasn't the lead singer until the third album. Iron Maiden, it's almost like even if Iron Maiden, Mötley Crüe, and Ratt got in now, they should have been in on first time they were eligible, right? First time they were eligible, they should be in. So when you think of criteria, right? Eligibility window, Iron Maiden, they meet that. Musical excellence, super style, technical skills in their craft. When you talk about best guitar players, best drummers, best bass players out there, you have to put Iron Maiden in that list as one of the best, right? Any one of those instruments. You can make an argument that one of those should be easily in the top 10. Lead singers, not just a studio singer. Bruce Dickinson voice is real in the studio and out on stadiums. Powerful voice. There ain't a lot of singers as talented. I mean, there is, but not. He's one of those freaks that this day, Bruce Dickinson can still sing. So, component, they have technical skills, influence, impact. Oh my God. Did Iron Maiden, when you think of the two bands in the speed metal world, I know there's a lot that you think of changing it. You always go to Metallica and Iron Maiden. Megadeth is part of it too. Well, Megadeth is that. I'm only going to do 4. Megadeth is another example that should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame too. Don't get me wrong. Metallica, Iron Maiden, right? Metallica is in. I mean, they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because they got to let somebody in, right? And some bands are easy for them to pick. I'm not saying Metallica is lower or anything or not, but they're an easier band to pick. But you know what I'm talking about? So innovation. Oh my God. I mean, they were creating different kind of speed sounds from day one. Right? Body of work. Oh my God, they got a catalog. They take that list, and again, nothing against Sex Pistols, 1 album, Iron Maiden, 20 albums? And they actually play. No offense to the Sex Pistols. They were just average players. They were. Just be honest. They were. Iron Maiden were above average players. So they meet every single criteria that apparently this committee is supposed to look at. They meet it all. Why isn't Iron Maiden in there? Right? And then a couple of years ago, I know some women musicians, like, where's the rock women, right? In the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We know bands like the Go-Go's are in there, which, they're a good band and all that. And hold on, I forgot one thing. I forgot. Check. Yeah. Talk about women, right? And there's, Joan Jett is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but she wasn't a first ballot Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. She didn't get in until 2015, right? And when you think about, I forgot one more. Hold on. when you okay. So my thing is, if the Six Pistols are in there because they say they changed everything, why is it the Runaways in there? You're talking about women group, right? Now they don't have a lot of body of work, just like the Sex Pistols. They didn't. But I tell you what, a lot of women artists became bands because of the Runaways, right? I don't know if there would have been a Go-Go's if there wasn't the Runaways. But beyond that, the Runaways not in there. Joan Jett jumped into the rock and roll. Lita Ford jumped into the rock and roll, and Joan Jett finally got in 2015, where she should have been there way long time ago. Long time ago. Changing the world influence. Are you going to tell me Lita Ford from the 80s, where there wasn't a lot of women doing, I consider Joan Jett more hard rock and roll hard rock, right? Anything that's a little bit harder than hard rock into the metal, Lita Ford is a queen. How many people has Lita Ford influence for women to pick up a guitar, pick up drums, sing, and do it, right? And talk about her story, right? She was just a guitar player, 15, 16 years old, in the Runaways. The band breaks up. Instead of her running to do pop music or anything like that, she wanted to play harder. She wanted to be a metal. Joan Jett even talked about how some of the band members wanted to be harder, and she jumped into a genre that was already bashed by men, not by men, but studios, the masses, and for what Joan Jett has done, it's fucking amazing. If are you reading these? Hey, I'm trying to read best I can, my friend, but it's hard to go back and forth. So if I miss, I do my best to get to them. Anybody who knows me knows that I try to go back to the chat and see what everybody's writing. Like I saw you wrote Iron Maiden. Yep. Views on modern metal. It's hard, right? Because music is such in the Wild West now. There's so many things out there. There's so many bands out there. I can't name off bands on top of my head who's out there. But see, this is why I need this channel with people like yourself, where like what Danny does a lot. Hey, people, if you guys ever heard of this band, check this band out. So if you have a modern metal band you want us to check out, put it in the chat. And when the show's over, go into the comments, type in those bands, because this is my friend. We're a community. We all talk to each other. We're all a community. We all work together. And all that. It's kind of weird how my phone is just going crazy. I never get text messages. It's almost like, I don't know. So yeah, let us know. I've seen Iron Maiden more times I could count. They're mind-blowing. AC/DC, Black Sabbath, Nirvana, Guns N' Roses, and Bon Jovi. February 10th, 1985, I saw Twisted Sister open for Iron Maiden in Greenville, South Carolina. Banana Rama. Are you reading these? I agree with you. No worries. I really think rock metal is fading away. It's what did you think of Wendy O. Williams video I sent you? Wendy Williams is freaking awesome. And I knew Wendy Williams. I know her. One of my favorite clips I have on my channel is when Wendy Williams was interviewing Mötley Crüe in her bra. It was a classic. So I really respect Wendy Williams. But Wendy Williams, I know she ain't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but you can make an argument that she should be in there too. They talk about like women being there, but it's like all women except Lita Ford. Look at her body work from the Runaways. She made that hit song with Ozzy Osbourne. She was accepted by the masses. How do you talk that women need to be represented more from rock communities, and you're bringing in pop bands and people like Lita Ford gets left out? It just doesn't freaking make sense. Now, I'm going to tell you the day that really, really told me that the Hall of Fame is a joke. And I hope when I go down this road, people don't take this the wrong way. Yeah. She was in the Plasmatics. She is good too. She's got that, got that punk sound. She's great. She's great. And people are gonna bash me for this. And remember, I live in Seattle. So the band I'm bringing up, I'm not bringing up Nirvana. Nirvana did their thing. The day that I truly knew that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame became the biggest joke in the world is when the Foo Fighters got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I knew rock and roll is nothing but a joke. And this is not because I don't think Foo Fighters are great. They're great artists. I'm not here saying their music don't deserve to be in there. Foo Fighters were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2021, their first year of eligibility, with members David Grohl, Taylor Hawkins, Nate Mendel, Chris. In their first year, Foo Fighters get in. First year. And again, I'm not bashing their music at all. But you talk about influence. Let's be honest here. David Grohl popularity came from Nirvana. And he wasn't even the original drummer of Nirvana. He came in on the Nevermind album. Right? So Nirvana breaks up because, we all know what Kirk did to himself, that a lot of people copied him, which I'm not going to get into that. He gets he gets signed, and Foo Fighters, right? What did they change? Honestly, what did they change? Okay, Nirvana, you can say they changed because of grunge, they did this and this. What? Honestly, I'm being honest here. Kiss never got in on their first year eligibility, and Kiss changed the way you saw concerts, the way you saw entertainment, the way you saw music. Kiss influenced so many people to become bands, more than Foo Fighters has ever done. And it took Kiss over 25 extra years to get in. I don't know how many actually years. I can't even remember what year Kiss got in, but it wasn't no first year. Hold on, let's look that up. When did Kiss get into the Hall of Fame? Let's look that up. When did Kiss get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Kiss got in there in 2014. 2014. And if you think about it, 6 years later, Foo Fighters get in. And Kiss was there a lot longer. They changed, right? And if anybody goes, Eric, they sold it. Hold on. Did they change people's look? The look they were having, it was already there. They didn't change no look. That look was already there. Are you telling me that Foo Fighters changed more looks than Mötley Crüe and Ratt did? If you think they did, you're fucking high. I'm telling you right now. I'm just bringing in the facts. Now, first of all, that's not true. Kiss had a lot of great songs. And Kiss only had one good song, God Gave Rock. First of all, God Gave Rock and Roll is not even a Kiss song. They remade it. That's a remake. That song's a remake. But come on. Deuces, Dr. Love, Love Gun. I mean, Cold Gin, Rock and Roll All Night, Hotter Than Hell. Come on, man. Come on. Detroit Rock City. You know, shout it out. I mean, shout it out. I mean, Kiss had tons of songs and hits. Kiss did I Love It Loud. Kiss did more influence for bands than Foo Fighters ever did. And again, I'm not saying Foo Fighters shouldn't have got in, but the first ballot, Creatures of the Night, like the first real album without any Kiss and Ace. I know Ace is on the cover, but we know the story on that, right? So the best song was a remake. Yeah, actually, I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I'm going to be honest with you. I honestly hate that song, God Gave Rock and Roll to You. I know they did it for the movie Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure. I don't like that song. I never did. I never liked that song. But Kiss had a lot of great songs. But Kiss, what I'm getting at, Kiss did more influence than they ever did. And why did the Foo Fighters get in? Right? I'll tell you why, how he got in. You know who is part of their committee for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? David Grohl is a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominating committee. You know? So are you going to tell me this band getting inducted the first year didn't have part that he was in that committee? Come on, people. That's like politics and a half right there. Hold on a second. Gene is not the best bassist. Come on. Well, first of all, the best bass player depends on who you like the best. But how many bass player can also sing half the songs of Kiss? He wasn't Gene Simmons. You know, people just think of bass player, you know, just as playing. First of all, it's hard to say who's the best, right? You could get 20 people, 20 best bass players around the world, and every night one would sound better than the other. Almost every other night. But a lot of bass players don't wear the makeup, entertainment, and sing as much as Gene Simmons sings in that band Kiss. Gene does more as a bass player than the average bass player in any band. Gene Simmons is like the whole package, right? I mean, listen, okay, Billy Sheehan is probably one of the top 5 best bass players ever, right? If you had back in the day, you know, Gene or Billy. But thing is, Billy might be top 5, but Gene is the full package. Singer, entertainer, knows how to talk to people. You know what I mean? So you know, there's a lot of great musicians out there. It's almost like when people say Randy's better than Eddie, Eddie's better than Randy. Well, first of all, Randy passed away. We're never really ever going to know. But it doesn't matter like who is considered the best. It's who sounds the best to you. It's all about you guys, people. It's all about who do you guys think. So there is really no best. It's the best bass players like towards you guys. How can bass players can rock on while blowing fire, puke, and blood and flying laugh out? Gene's superior and got comic book. That's what I'm saying. Gene was the whole package. If you want to say he wasn't the best sound bass player, okay, say that. You can say that. But how many bass players could do what he does on stage? Sing, There's no fire and blood out of his mouth. Gene was the whole package, right? Whole package. So, again, and I'm not here bashing the Foo Fighters, but there's no way in hell they should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this early, right? It's almost like, and I hate to say this, right? When they went to these are inside stories, like apparently the inside story is they recognize that they got to get some bands in there from the 80s, right? And no offense to this one band, instead of putting bands that should have been in there first, like Mötley Crüe, it was too easy to pick Bon Jovi. Nothing against Bon Jovi, right? He got big off his third album, where Ratt got big off their first album, and you could say Mötley Crüe really got big off their second album. They started to look, but because Bon Jovi had the most pretty boy smile, best looking guy, best looking people in the band, they and I'm not putting down Bon Jovi at all, but Bon Jovi was easy. Bon Jovi is way too easy to put in there. They're like let's put in the Clean Boys. Do they deserve? And Bon Jovi deserved to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I just think that Mötley Crüe and them should have been in there already before them. Def Leppard is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but Def Leppard should have been in Rock and Roll Hall of Fame way before Bon Jovi. They started in '78 when they came out with their albums. Paramania came out. Paramania came out. High and Dry came out before Slippery When Wet, right? And again, Bon Jovi should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm not saying they shouldn't. But Mötley Crüe's not in there. It should have been in there first. They did more for the Sunset Strip than Bon Jovi did. And once that music, people got a taste of it, it was easier for bands like Bon Jovi to explode. I mean, Mötley and Def Leppard should have been in there first. I mean, Def Leppard is in there, and Mötley Crüe's not. Lita Ford should be in there. And I made my case for Ratt should be in there. And there's a lot of bands, right? We'll do a part 2 like this later on because, a lot of people think I'm crazy when I say Poison should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yes, they should be. Twisted Sister should be. How early they started fighting against the system to get their music played. Wasp had the look. Now, a lot of people say Mötley Crüe stole the look of their look from Wasp. So it just tells you how important that Wasp was to a lot of these bands. Without Mötley Crüe, there wouldn't be bingo. That's exactly what I'm saying. Right? And without Kiss, there might not have been a Mötley Crüe. Without Aerosmith, right? And I know Aerosmith is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And how the Kiss not get in on their first ballot and then Foo Fighters gets in? That's what I'm talking about. That's what's sad about the system. And guys, I want you guys to do a little homework. When the Grammys this year, when the top songs come out, look at how many fucking writers are on those best songs of the year. On average, look it up every year now. Most top songs have over 10 writers. 10 writers. And these rock bands, Iron Maiden writes their own music. Mötley Crüe writes their own music. Right? And hold on. Bon Jovi, biggest album. They hired Desmond Child to help them write that album. So, I'm just saying that Bon Jovi wasn't getting the popularity he needed, and they hired Desmond Child. And of course, you gave Love a Bad Name, Living on a Prayer. They hired somebody to help them create hits. Mötley Crüe never hired Desmond Child. Not that I'm aware of. If he did, please put the song on there that he did. Mötley Crüe, Nikki Sixx wrote the majority of the music himself. So again, I'm not putting down Bon Jovi, but Bon Jovi hits came from hiring Desmond Child to help them write the music. You know what I mean? Nikki Sixx wrote damn near every song they ever played. Bingo. I'm just, you're making my case for me on why these bands should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They write their own music. Again, Bon Jovi should be there in the Hall of Fame, but Mötley and them should have already been in there. They're not even in there. Kiss should have been in there way before they got in there. A lot of these bands, you know, again, this might sound crazy to you guys. Dokken, my opinion, should be in there. Fucking can sing live. George Lynch, great musicians. But again, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's a joke. And every time they put in these pop artists, it takes away a spot. And the saddest thing, guys, this is the saddest thing. Our heroes, the bands we grew up on, they're dying. They're dying. We lost Ozzy this year. We lost Ace Frehley this year. We're losing our musicians. You know, Vince Neil had a stroke. I mean, thank God he's still alive. But, I mean, these bands that deserves from every criteria that they put that a band needs to do, a lot of these bands did that. And by the time they get in, they're going to be dead already. My fucking God. Get Mötley in there before we lose our Mick Mars, our Vince Neil. Nikki Sixx, you know, all you got to do is kick start his heart. That fucking guy will never die. Nikki Sixx, he already died on us like 2, 3, 4 times. So Nikki Sixx will be around for a long time. But we're losing a lot of our artists. Somebody brought in earlier in the show, Night Ranger, another band that should be in there. There are good bands that should be in there. You know, it just it blows my mind. I mean, it really true blows my mind. I mean, and how is Iron Maiden not in there? Right? Iron Maiden, Megadeth. A lot of the early Metallica songs were half of those songs were written with Dave Mustaine. Right? And here's another one we need to talk to. And this will be the last person I'll bring up. I will never understand how you don't loop this guy into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The guy I'm talking about is Dio. How do you fucking not have Dio, Rodney James Dio, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for his body of work? Rainbow. He saved Black Sabbath when they fired Ozzy. He saved them from death. His solo albums, Holy Diver, the Last Man Standing. I'm almost forgetting the names of their albums. But how do you not have Rodney James Dio not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? How do you not have him in there? The grandfather of voices. And the man who cares about the world when they made that Michael Jackson, We Are the World, and when they wouldn't allow heavy metal bands to be part of it. Rodney James Dio, I forgot the name of the song he created. Danny, you might remember, put it in the chat. Got rock bands together to help with that kind of a project that they weren't allowed to be in. How do you not have him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? How? How? I mean, I'm glad Randy Rhoads is in there for his body work on 2 albums and some with Quiet Riot. But Dio's body of work, Rainbow, Black Sabbath, solo, and he's not in there. I just don't get it. But guys, I want to tell you, I had a fun time with you guys. Remember, what's the problem here? What do you mean, what's the problem here? We don't have a problem. We're talking about problems. Which 4 bands that I'm talking about that should be in? Just look at my thumbnail. But we already talked about it. You're gonna have to rewatch the show, my friend. But I'm glad you're here, guys. This is the best goddamn rock and roll show on YouTube. Why? Because we do this live. Music is at its best when it's live. Yes, I could pre-record this. I could cut it up. I could put in some music. No, this is fucking real. This is raw. This is the way music is meant. This is the way shows on YouTube should be, live, interacting with you guys. Bro, just tell me. All right. You want to know the 4 that should be in there, my friend? Mötley Crüe, Ratt, Lita Ford, Iron Maiden. Those were the 4 I covered the most. I put them on the cover that if I had to pick the 4 to go in there now, there's a lot more than just them, but those are the 4 that should have been in there, and it's a fucking joke that it's not. That's who it is. So beyond that, guys, I want to appreciate every single one of you for being here. Tell everybody this is the best goddamn rock channel show out there, and we're the fastest growing rock and roll channel on YouTube. We're at 46,000 people. 46,000 people now because of you. Because we like things real, raw, and no fake. And do I have a sponsorship yet? Hell no. Nobody wants to sponsor this channel. I don't give a shit. Right? I don't give a shit. You know, I'll be working on. Warrant is interesting. You know, should they be? Yes. But they're one of the bands I would say, you know, maybe not on the first ballot. Well, they weren't. They're not even on the first ballot. Poison should be in there before Warrant because their body of work was a little bigger and they had more of an impact on the scene than Warrant did. But you will hear no argument from me that Warrant should be in there. Jenny Lane's an underrated songwriter, very underrated. Sad what happened to him. You know, makes me sad. But beyond that, guys, we'll have another live show this Friday. I'll pick a topic. If you guys have a certain topic you want to talk about, just write it in the comments. Email me at hairmetalrevolution@gmail.com. Say, Eric, do a topic on this. hairmetalrevolution@gmail.com. So email me there. Tell me what topic you guys want to do, and let's do it. So beyond that, I'll see you guys this Friday. I love you all.
I will build a brighter future for everyone.